Good evening. I'm Galen Minnie. I'm a retired United Methodist pastor, and I attend St. Matthew's United Methodist Church in Bowie. I'm here on this Friday evening, the 26th of March, and we just have a few days remaining in the month, and I'm here to give our Friday devotion and also share another story about one of our circuit riders. I'd like to first begin by reading a word of scripture from John's Gospel, the 15th chapter, verses 1 through 13. I am the true vine, and my Father is my husbandman. Every branch in me that beareth not fruit, he taketh away. And every branch that beareth fruit, he purgeth it, that it may bring forth more fruit. Now ye are clean through the word which I have spoken unto you. Abide in me, and I in you. As the branch cannot bear fruit of itself, except it abide in the vine, no more can ye, except ye abide in me. I am the vine, ye are the branches. He that abideth in me, and I in him, the same bringeth forth much fruit. For without me, ye can do nothing. If a man abide not in me, he is cast forth as a branch and is withered, and men gather them and cast them into the fire, and they are burned. If ye abide in me, and my words abide in you, ye shall ask what ye will, and it shall be done unto you. Herein is my Father glorified, that ye bear much fruit, so shall ye be my disciples. As the Father has loved me, so have I loved you. Continue ye in my love. If ye keep my commandments, ye shall abide in my love, even as I have kept my Father's commandments and abide in his love. These things I have spoken unto you, that my joy might remain in you, and that your joy might be full. This is my commandment, that ye love one another as I have loved you. Greater love had no man than this, than a man lay down his life for his friends. Let us pray. Oh God, thank you for the words of Jesus, explaining how we are the branches and Jesus is the vine, explaining what love is all about, keeping commandments, finding joy in everything we do, and being committed to one another, and knowing the message of this season. Greater love had no man than this, that a man lay down his life for his friends, even Jesus the Christ, who has done this for us. We give you thanks. Amen. This evening I want to share the story about one of our circuit riders. His name is Samuel Coate, C-O-A-T-E. He was born in 1776 in New Jersey. He grew up in Lumberton, New Jersey, which is about 20 miles east of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. In 1796, when he was 20 years old, he went into what he called a strange land, and there he began to preach. We know that his parents were Quakers, but they had become Methodists, and so he had become a Methodist also. So in 1794, Coate was received on trial as a Methodist minister in the state of New York. The following year, he was appointed to the Albany, New York circuit. And then after that, in 1796, he became what he called a missionary in Upper Canada. It was while there he was ordained a deacon, and he was the first Methodist minister in Upper Canada. He described some of his difficulties that he had as a circuit rider. He said he spent 23 nights sleeping on the ground with nothing but a blanket, sometimes a little straw. His provisions or his food was very little, and he was reduced to 2 scanty meals per day. But then he went on to write that he felt he was fully compensated. But when he arrived in Canada, there was a great revival, and there was a large number of conversions. He did not travel there alone. He had a companion. His name was Hezekiah Wooster. He was serving on a Methodist circuit also. And something novel would take place. The two of them would trade circuits every 6 months. And again, a great revival occurred. And Coate wrote a letter to Bishop Asbury describing what took place. And I want to read that letter now. Reverend and dear sir, my intention in this letter is to give you a brief account of the work of God in the province of Upper Canada, at the same time wishing you glorious success in your ministerial labors, and that the smiles of heaven may rest upon you and those under your charge, that it may appear to all the world that the Lord is the God of the Methodists. I believe it would be impossible for the pen of the learned or the tongue of the eloquent fully to set forth the wonderful displays of God's power that have been exhibited in this province in the space of 2 months. But I shall relate in my weak manner what I have both seen and heard. It was with much reluctance that I turned out last fall, and though much difficulty came to this place, I had to endure wet and cold and laid on the ground 23 nights. Then at our quarterly meeting at Adolphus Town Meeting House, the flame burst forth. Sinners were brought to cry out bitterly for mercy, and believers for perfect love. On Saturday night and on the Sabbath, there were mighty breaking forth of the power of the highest. I can not justly assert the number that were blessed, but it was considerable. From the time Brother D and myself went on laboring with good courage and glorious success. This one thing I know, there is nothing raising persecution as soon as the doctrine of sanctification. And this makes me believe it is injurious to Satan's kingdom, or the old lion would not roar so violently. Before I began to enforce this doctrine, I had little or no persecution to speak of, but now my name is cast out as evil. They call me a troubler of the land, a setter forth of strange things, a spreader of heresies, a breaker of the peace, and a seditious follower. But I hope I can hear all these invectives, and as many more, for Christ's sake. Dear Father, excuse my boldness in writing to you, whom am the least of all. I am your humble servant, Samuel Coate. His letter happened to be published in the New Methodist Episcopal publication that had come out. It was called the Methodist Magazine, published in 1798. While serving in Upper Canada, he married Anne de Malge, who happened to be the niece of Barbara Heck. She was known in Methodist history for being part of the First Methodist Church in New York City back in 1766. Well, this couple, they were described as a handsome pair. Samuel had long hair, flowing down to his shoulders, turning up in graceful curls, and Anne was a fair beauty. There would be Methodist meetings held in their home, and Anne would have the gathering of the women. I guess the beginning of the circle that we know in the United Methodist Women. Something else that needs to be pointed out, she also is known for mounting a horse and sometimes becoming a circuit rider for a short time, riding along with her husband as he rode to the various meeting places along the circuit. One of Coate's experiences as a Methodist circuit rider that stands out is that he participated in a debate in 1804 with Reverend Robert McDowell, a minister of the Reformed Protestant Dutch Church. Coate participated in the debate standing on a wagon, and after speaking for 2 hours, the Presbyterians, including the minister that Coate was debating, they left. Coate said that 1,000 people attended, and he became the winner of the debate because everyone else walked away. Another story that needs to be told about Coate is that he had a younger brother of Samuel, Isaiah was his name. He remained in the family home in Lumberton, New Jersey. And that home became a resting place for circuit riders, including Bishop Francis Asbury, who stayed there in 1807. And also that house was where Asbury was nursed when he became very ill along the trail. He stayed in that same home for 12 weeks, and the year was 1814. Coate's ministry in Upper Canada during early years drew large crowds. As we've already shared some of that, many persons were converted. And the crowds and the number of conversions has often been compared with that of George Whitefield, who began the Great Awakening in America. In a way, Coate began the Great Awakening in northern Canada. Coate did have time to travel back to his home in New Jersey, would sometimes preach at camp meetings. In 1806, he wrote, "I had the honor of attending one of the greatest camp meetings near Dover, New Jersey." Coate at the time was a presiding elder. In 1809, he was appointed to that position in the Lower Canada Circuit. Not just the upper, but now he's in the Lower Canada Circuit. In 1810, he was listed in the conference minutes as located, meaning that he was no longer a circuit rider, and they was just serving a particular church at the time. He was living in Montreal. During that time, he took a job with a merchant, and he preached whenever he was called upon. He had little money to support his family. He became a debtor and lost all of his property. To support his family, he turned to his hobby, handwriting and lettering. It is said that he could write the Lord's Prayer on his thumbnail. Coate became an illustrator in a number of books. In 1812, he made the decision to go to London so he could sell one of his books. While in London, he published a book, and listen to the title, Coate's Miscellany, a collection of treatises and discourses on various subjects in divinity. One might observe that if he could print the Lord's Prayer on his fingernail, why not have a shorter title for his book? And why not, if he could debate and stand up and debate for 2 hours, why not share this, and I'm sure he did. The title is one thing to observe, but I like the way that he described himself. The book by Samuel Coate, late minister of the gospel in America. And of course, at this point, he was looking at Canada being part of the continent of America. While in London in 1813, a swelling came in his right knee. After suffering from excruciating pain for several months, a decision was made that he would have his leg amputated. He never recovered. In December of that year, he died. He was only 38 years old. Let's bow our heads in a word of prayer. We thank you, O God, for this particular circuit rider who was able to accomplish so much in such a short time. Now, there's a variety of things that he did: preaching, debating, writing, and then the caring for his wife and family. We thank you for his gifts, for making the difference that we know he did, and sharing the gospel, of planting the seed and waiting for it to grow. We ask, O God, that you give us rest this night and awaken us in the new morning to be of service in your kingdom. For being followers of Christ, we know there's much work to do. Amen. I want to wish you a good evening. I'm going to be having a little break. I'll not be with you next Friday, but I'll return again in April.